More details have emerged on Tuesday's unprecedented attack on Hezbollah that saw thousands of pagers explode across Lebanon, killing 9 people and wounding nearly 3,000 others, including the group's fighters and Iran's envoy to Beirut. Israel's military has not commented on the blasts, but several sources told Reuters that a plot by the country's Mossad spy agency appears to have been many months in the making. So what do we know about the attack so far? A senior Lebanese security source and another source told Reuters that Mossad planted up to 3 grams of explosives inside 5,000 Taiwan-made pagers ordered months ago by Hezbollah, which went undetected by the Iran-backed group. The senior Lebanese source said the devices had been modified by the spy service, quote, at the production level. The source said 3,000 of the beepers exploded when a coded message was sent to them, simultaneously activating the explosives. People gathered at the Red Cross Center in Sudan after the attack to donate blood for the wounded. Hospital footage reviewed by Reuters showed men with missing fingers and gaping wounds at the hip where the pagers were likely worn. Images of destroyed pagers after Tuesday's attack analyzed by Reuters showed a format and stickers on the back that were consistent with those made by Taipei-based company Gold Apollo. But the company's founder, Zhu Qingquan, told reporters on Wednesday that the firm did not make the detonated pagers. Zhu said they were made by a company in Europe, which he named as BAC, that had the right to use the Taiwanese firm's brand.
None of the components in that product belong to us. Nothing was exported by us.
An effort by Hezbollah earlier this year to tighten security may have left them exposed to Tuesday's attack, which one Hezbollah official said was the group's, quote, biggest security breach since the Gaza conflict between Israel and Hezbollah ally Hamas erupted last October. In February, the group's leader warned supporters that their phones were more dangerous than Israeli spies, saying they should break, bury, or lock them in an iron box. The group distributed pagers to Hezbollah members as an alternative, apparently communicating with the low-tech devices in an attempt to evade Israeli tracking. Hezbollah has vowed to retaliate for the pager attack, which came at a time of mounting concern over tensions between it and Israel. The two sides have been engaged in cross-border warfare since the start of the Gaza conflict. That has fueled fears of a regional conflict that could drag in Iran and the United States, which on Tuesday denied involvement in the attack.
I can tell you, to my knowledge, there's no U.S. involvement in this at all.
Experts said they did not see the pager blast as a sign that an Israeli ground offensive was imminent, but rather an indication of Israeli intelligence's apparently deep infiltration of Hezbollah.
Alphabet's Google now won't have to pay at least one huge fine to the EU. The tech giant won its challenge on Wednesday against a $1.66 billion antitrust fine imposed 5 years ago. The European Commission had accused Google of hurting rivals in online search advertising. It said Google used its dominance to prevent websites from using brokers other than its AdSense platform that provided search adverts. The practices it said were illegal took place from 2006 to 2016. But while the Luxembourg-based General Court mostly agreed with the EU competition enforcer's assessments of the case, it annulled the fine. The judges said the Commission had failed to take into account all the relevant circumstances in its assessment of the duration of the contractual clauses that it had found to be unfair. The AdSense fine was triggered by a complaint from Microsoft 14 years ago. Google has argued it changed the targeted contracts in 2016 before the Commission's decision, but the company must still pay a separate EU penalty. Last week it lost its final fight against a $2.7 billion fine for using its price comparison shopping service to gain an unfair advantage over smaller European rivals. Google isn't the only US tech giant to fall foul of EU regulators. Meta faces a huge fine over its alleged efforts to dominate the classified advertising market. That's according to Britain's Financial Times on Wednesday. The report said EU regulators will claim Facebook's parent company links its free marketplace services with the social network in an effort to undermine its rivals.
للطباخ من مواد معاد تدويرها ممكن تصنيع مواد معاد تدويرها.
This cooker is made of recycled materials. It is very simple, made of wood from a wooden box, broken glass from the glass maker, and mirrors that focus the sun's rays on a tray or pot inside the cooker, which helps the cooking. The duration of cooking is the same as normal cooking. It can also fry. Everything that you'd think of, this cooker can do. The good thing about this device is that it's portable. It could be taken anywhere. Wherever I go, I take it with me. It works with solar energy, so I place it on rooftops. As you know, there are strikes, destruction and missiles passing by, which the cooker is subjected to. It's made of glass and mirrors, and it was hit with strikes several times. And it's a little bit broken, but it still works perfectly. This is the salty water in the device. The sun's rays fall on the calm water, heating it and evaporating it. Then these drops start to show, which means there's a condensation process. Can you see the drops? This is the condensation process of water. The fresh water coming out of the devices goes through 2 stages of purification with activated charcoal. This is the first stage, then the water goes down here. This is the second stage. Then it goes into this tank. The water in this tank is fresh and completely suitable for drinking, with no salt or pollutants.
Thousands of opposition supporters protested across Ghana on Tuesday against alleged irregularities in the electoral roll. Voters will be heading to the polls on December 7th in what is one of Africa's most stable democracies. However, leaders of the National Democratic Congress Party have accused the Electoral Commission of illegally transferring voters to different voting stations without their knowledge.
Ghana is the gateway to Africa.
In the capital, Accra, protester Carla Wampasika said what they want is an independent forensic audit to rid the register of errors.
For us to have an exclusive, very well-planned register that we know we are going to an election, so that when we win, we know we've won. When we lose, we will also admit we've lost.
The Electoral Commission has said identified errors have been corrected. In August, it suspended a district director in a northeastern town for allegedly using his credentials to transfer voters without their knowledge. However, allegations of irregularities dent the electoral authority's image. Trust in the Commission is at a historic low, according to an Afrobarometer survey in July. In addition, the last election, in which 8 people died, was also marred by opposition accusations that the government had unfairly influenced the outcome, which it denied. The upcoming election will pit ex-President John Dramani Mahama of the opposition NDC against current Vice President Mahamudu Bawumia of the ruling New Patriotic Party. They are vying to succeed President Nana Akufo-Addo, who is stepping down after serving the constitutional limit of 8 years. Mali said on Tuesday that the capital Bamako was under control after an attack by insurgents on a gendarmerie training school and other areas of the city. In a statement, the army said mopping up operations are underway.
Le groupe de terroristes a attaqué l'école de gendarmerie de Faladje.
The national broadcaster told Malians that search and rescue operations were taking place, that the situation was under control, and to remain calm and follow the instructions of the security forces. Footage showed a mob burning what was said to be the remains of one of the suspected assailants. Mali is one of several West African countries fighting a jihadist insurgency in the Sahel. Thousands in the region have been killed and millions displaced as the militants have advanced and amid military efforts to push them back. Both governments and insurgents, some of whom have links to Al-Qaeda and Islamic State, have been accused of violence against civilians. Frustration with authorities' inability to restore order has contributed to 2 coups in Mali, as well as military takeovers in neighbouring Burkina Faso and Niger. But jihadist attacks have escalated despite the junta's promises to improve security. It is, however, rare for insurgents to strike inside the capital. Ghana lost more than a third of its cocoa output in the last season to smuggling, a top official from its cocoa marketing board has said. The context for that is high global prices for cocoa amid shortages, but also payment delays and low local prices for farmers. And that's pushed some to sell to increasingly sophisticated trafficking rings. Charles Amanyaglo, who leads CocoBod's anti-smuggling task force, said he conservatively estimated that smuggling losses had tripled to 160,000 metric tons in the 2023 to 2024 season. Significant quantities, he said, were crossing into Burkina Faso, Mali and Togo. He described cocoa discovered in tipper trucks covered by quarry chippings, in drums disguised as palm oil, and even in a fuel tanker. Ghana and Ivory Coast, the world's two biggest cocoa producers, have seen poor harvests this year due to disease and adverse weather. The lack of supply has driven up global cocoa and chocolate prices. But an increase last season in the farm gate price, that's what's paid to farmers, did not keep pace. Smuggling rings, however, offer farmers higher prices. In addition, cocoa fetches more in Ivory Coast and Togo than in Ghana. That's because they use the more stable CFA franc and have less regulation. Amanyaglo said the military would soon be deployed to tackle smugglers. In the last season, CocoBod failed to pay farmers for beans on time due to problems with a syndicated loan it uses to finance purchases. It has now opened its 2024 to 2025 season, earlier than usual, with a new funding model and a 45% increase in the farm gate price. It's hoped that the changes will help discourage smuggling, though farmers fear a weakening currency will erode the price hike.